Hello, Michelle Eaton here, and welcome to the Facebook Changes video, part 2. So what gets broken? There are a few things that you need to be aware of. Again, unlike the old design, you now don't have a default landing page anymore. Instead of a default landing page, you can now drive people to apps or page tabs. So now you really have to be strategic about how you leverage those other new controls, like pinning, highlighting and starring posts, and adding milestones to guide visitor attention and move them toward important parts of your site, like conversion points. Also, now the width of an app or page is 810 pixels instead of the old 520. The upshot, of course, is that any pages that are designed for the old layout will look dated to your visitors, and it goes without saying that visitors will want to see fresh content, and they want to feel like you're actively managing your profile. If your prospects suspect otherwise, if they think your page is unattended and just sitting out there, they won't engage with your brand at all, and they will be reluctant to return to it. Lastly, it's very important that you understand the new rules for cover photos. Again, your cover photo is the first thing that people see when they visit your page. Facebook has rolled out some pretty tough new restrictions for what kind of content and what kind of messages you can deliver via your cover photo. We'll go into greater detail in just a second, but the gist of the new rules is this: you can no longer have calls to action embedded into your cover photo. A call to action could be text or something like an arrow pointing to the like button. So, to walk you through some of these changes in greater detail, here you see a default landing page from the old design. In this case, it's a landing page from McDonald's. You can no longer specify default landing pages that visitors see first. Here you can see in greater detail the page width increase that I mentioned earlier. It's a pretty significant bump in terms of size, which means you have a great opportunity to leverage high quality photos and graphics to engage visitors right away and draw them into your page. Make sure you take advantage of this change. And to show you an example of what Facebook no longer allows for cover photos, here you'll see an image from Starbucks' old page, in which they use an arrow in the image to encourage visitors to hit the like button. Facebook is very clear that they will not allow this kind of call to action on cover photos. Let's take a few minutes to explore Facebook's motivations for making these changes. I can assure you they are not making these changes to make your life more difficult. Facebook is constantly thinking about how they can further solidify their position as the king of the social media landscape, and these changes reflect that desire to stay fresh and to stay innovative, in an effort to preserve their position at the head of the pack. And the most effective way to do that, to stay on top, is to improve the user experience, to create a website that people love to use, a website that they return to often and use for longer and longer periods of time. That's their first and primary motivation, to improve the user experience across the board for companies, non-profits and individuals. So, Facebook's other motivation for making these changes is to give brands new ways to reach out and engage with their fans and prospects. Because the more rich and valuable Facebook can be as a partner to business, the more businesses will invest in Facebook as an important marketing and outreach platform. So Facebook is always looking for ways to improve their usefulness to businesses and brands. Of course, if they are able to accomplish all of these things, if they're able to improve the user experience and give businesses more tools for reaching customers, Facebook will be able to add more dollars to their already sizable bank account. So those are the reasons why Facebook is kicking up all of this dust and making changes and moving things around and changing designs and functionality. But the big question for you is, how will this stuff impact my business? Let's dive into that question. There are two things to consider here. The first question to ask is, do I have the time and resources to address this shift? But to go a step further, the question all businesses should be asking themselves is, do I have the resources to fully leverage these changes and profit from them? Those are two very different approaches. The first involves doing the bare minimum to keep pace with the changes, but the second, and I encourage you to follow the second path, is to ask yourself how you can take advantage of these changes to improve your social media presence in the larger sense. So for those of you who currently have Facebook pages, and that's probably most of you, you have a few things to pay attention to now. For starters, you need to set aside time to update the art and copy on your page to reflect the new design. Secondly, you need to get in the habit, as a publisher of content, to stay true to the new image-centric design and make sure you have the visuals to support this layout. Lastly, since friend activity is displayed so prominently on your page, you need to make sure you're keeping tabs on the conversation that others are having about your brand and your industry, so you can shape and add to that conversation. My guess is that there aren't many of you watching this video who don't yet have pages, but if there are some that haven't yet climbed aboard the Facebook train, I just want to say that you no longer have any excuses for getting started. I don't want to get into the case for using Facebook, because I could give an entire presentation on that subject alone, but suffice to say, Facebook is an incredibly valuable tool for any kind of business, in any kind of industry. The new Facebook timeline layout gives businesses even more tools to interact with buyers and build relationships, so you really should get involved if you haven't already. Let's tackle this question for a moment. What changes do you need to make? For starters, you need to add a cover photo. Now you could grab a photo willy-nilly, snap a pic on your camera phone and just upload it and be done, but I really encourage you to take your time and invest in the necessary resources to make sure you have a really sharp cover photo for your page. The cover photo is so prominent, and it will be the first impression that visitors get of your business, so make it count. Second, you'll want to optimize your existing page tabs for the new 810 pixel wide layout. Third, and this one is really important, you'll want to consider rewriting your about statement, because this bit of text is now displayed above the fold very prominently for visitors to see, and it's probably the most important chunk of text that people will read, so you want to make sure it's accurate and compelling. Okay, I'm now going to take a couple of minutes to provide tips on how to navigate the switch and make the most of the changes. The most important thing is to think visual. The new design puts a much greater emphasis on visual communication, so you want to make sure that every image you upload to Facebook is supporting your story and putting your brand in the best possible light. So the challenge for business is to incorporate more and better imagery into their pages to drive engagement among users and fans. Also, remember, apps are the new tabs. Whereas you used to have a long list of pages, you now get a certain amount of space to display your most important apps or page tabs. Using milestones is one of the best ways to leverage the new timeline layout, so make sure you take some time to think about the story you want to tell your prospects and clients, and how you want to tell that story using images and text. Again, to take advantage of the new layout's emphasis on imagery, you'll want to find great images that support your branding goals and highlight them to give them more prominence on your page and draw fans in. Now, given the tools at your disposal, you'll want to take more time to monitor what people are saying and doing relative to your brand. In the history of marketing, there really hasn't been such a great way for brands to get such a clear look at how their buyers behave and what resonates with them. And the business that takes full advantage of this information will have more success than their competitors. Which brings us to the admin panel. This provides you with an unbelievably transparent look into how your page is faring and how well your outreach efforts are doing. The power of online marketing, again, is the ability to track and measure things that used to be totally unknown. Facebook has really given businesses some great tools for managing and tracking their results, and fortunately for all of us, they keep adding new features and measurements that will make actively engaged businesses even more successful. Finally, it's very, very important that you know the new rules regarding the cover photos. So I'll present you with this verbatim list of restrictions that Facebook has published in their terms and conditions. 1. No price or purchase information. 2. No contact information can be embedded in your cover photo. 3. You can no longer ask people to like your page or share it with others. 4. You cannot issue any calls to action in your cover photo. If you're feeling overwhelmed and unsure of how to proceed, don't worry, you can do it, and we're always here to help if you need us. Visit us at www.localbusinesswebschool.com. That's the end of the presentation. I hope this has been helpful, and I really appreciate the time you took out of your busy schedule to watch the video. Please take what you've learned and apply one thing today, one thing tomorrow, and don't stop until your business is taking off like a rocket. I guarantee you it will be worth your time to really get to know the new layout and use it to market yourself to your prospects and customers. So thank you for listening. This is Michelle Eaton, and I hope to speak to you again very soon.